once I save that contact information, I'm gonna go ahead and hit save there. And then we're gonna move into the energy page to put in their usage information and select their utility company. So there are a number of different ways here to put in the usage information. You can enter that with your kilowatt hour values or your bill dollar values, or you can use an estimate based on the square footage and the location of the home. We also have the ability to upload interval data if you want to include that, but the tool is very dynamic. So you can put in as little or as much information as you want here, and it will go ahead and build out the rest of the year for you, including that seasonality there. I'm going to go ahead and just put a nice round annual number in here for our kilowatt hours, just so we can move through this. But there are some more features you can use here to manipulate the usage further. Really important for batteries here, if you want to use battery modeling, is telling the system when the customer is using most of their energy. So if you know when the customer is using their energy during the day, on the weekends and the weekdays, you can put that information in here and it will help manipulate the usage a little bit more to meet the customer's energy habits. So once I've got my consumption information built in here, I'll come down here and select my utility company and my rate plan. So this is going to take a guess at the utility company for that area, as well as the rate plan they're using. So this house is in Northern California in PG&E territory, and it's just picking the basic residential rate for that region. Now, if this is not the correct rate, you can come here and select a new tariff, and you can search our utility database to find the different utility companies and rate plans in the system. If for some reason you can't find the rate you're looking for, you can always email us a copy of the rate plan or the utility bill to support@opensolar.com, and we'll go ahead and add that rate in here and build it for you. You do have the ability to create rates here, and you can even customize rates that are already in the system. If you click on a rate, you can see all the parameters for it and make sure it's accurately modeling and come in and make changes if you would like. The current tariff is the rate they're on today before they go solar. The proposed rate is the rate they're going to change to when they go solar. So if you're in a place where you've got time of use and the customer is moving from tiered to time of use when they go solar, you can specify all of that right here. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we're going to move right into the design studio to start building our project. So this is the OpenSolar design tool, and we're loading OpenSolar 3D right now. Now, OpenSolar 3D is the mode that's been validated with the accuracy piece, but it also is the mode that's going to automatically calculate for you the azimuth, the pitch, and the shading without having to do a site visit or visit the home. Now, the 3D mode is using digital surface modeling or DSM imagery to go ahead and build out everything here. So, or data surface modeling, but yeah, basically it's using DSM imagery, phototelemetry, and satellite data. It's a bit different from LiDAR. This is a lot of what the EV companies use for their automated or self-driving. So we're using this to build up the model from the ground up, and we get a nice 3D imagery of the home and all the trees and shading obstacles around it. To navigate the 3D mode, I'm right-clicking and holding here, and I can move around at any angle I want. I also have the compass here that's spinning in the corner. I can utilize that by clicking on cardinal directions, moving my map around, or clicking on the middle here to get back to my top down. I can zoom in or zoom out here with the scroll wheel or with the plus and minus buttons to get closer angles. Now, 3D is going to be available in the majority of the country, so you should have it available to you in most places, but there are some places where imagery may not be great and where 3D may not be available. Now, we do have a partnership with Nearmap, so if you are a Nearmap subscriber, you can use them, and it does give you some better imagery as well as some potential areas where Google may not have the imagery, but Nearmap does. But we also have some other design modes in case 3D is unavailable. We have the 2D mode and the manual mode. So 3D is using NREL's new system advisor model, the evolved mode of PV Watts as the calculation engine here. 2D and the manual mode are using PV Watts as the calculation engine. Now, 2D is a flat top-down image with obliques that you can design on. It's a great tool. You can still build very beautiful proposals in it, but 2D is going to have a little bit of a drawback in the sense that it's going to rely on your inputs. It's not going to automatically calculate for you the shading, the azimuth, and the pitch. It's going to take guesses at those things for the azimuth and the pitch, and unfortunately, it won't pick up the shading. So if you are forced to use 2D, you'll have to rely on some of those inputs, which may require a sun eye or a site visit. Now, we do have the manual mode. The manual mode is the go-between, kind of like what some of our competitors have, where you've got a flat 2D image. You can go ahead and draw out the roof, construct a 3D model, and put trees around the home to affect the shading. Now, we do have some other options as well. So you can design on custom imagery in OpenSolar. You can upload drone shots or blueprints, and you can design on those items as well. Now, if you want to go ahead and choose the views you're looking at, that's down here. Again, we're in the 3D mode. And if you're going to design in 3D, which I do recommend for the most accuracy here in OpenSolar and ease of use, you want to design in 3D and stay in 3D. You don't want to switch back and forth, because if you switch between 3D and 2D and you make changes in 2D, it could affect those 3D calculations. Now, we do have a new feature here. So before you get started, if you want to see a heat map or what the shading of the home looks like before you start designing, you can click on the 3D view right here, click more, and then click on the view shade button here. And what this will do is it will take a moment to load, but it's going to go ahead and pull up a heat map of the property so you can see what the ideal roofs are to go ahead and start designing on. So here we can see, based on that heat map, where all the sun access is and where the shading is affecting the roof there. So again, you hit 3D, hit more, and then hit view shade to turn that on or turn that off. Now, to go ahead and start a design here, we're going to come over to the 0 panel system dropdown on the left. We're going to hit this drop down right here, and you'll have a couple different tabs along here to go ahead and build your system. The summary tab, once you go ahead and start designing, this is going to fill in with all the information for your project. And if you come to the panels tab here, that's where you're going to find the modules that you can go ahead and start designing with. So if I click here, I got my Panasonic module, but I can go ahead and look at my entire database of panels here. Now, when you set up your account in OpenSolar and we help set it up for you, we're going to help you build your list of modules. Most installers have about 4 or 5, maybe 6 modules to choose from. This is our demo account, so we have quite a lot of them, but typically you only have a couple options here. Now, if you want to search outside of your lineup, you can just start typing in the manufacturer name or the model number for the panel, and it's going to go ahead and pull up all the modules, the ones that are in your list, and then all the ones in the database below that. And you can select and design with any of the modules in the system. There's over 20,000 of them in OpenSolar, so you should have everything you need. But if for some reason you're not finding the product here, you can email us a copy of the spec sheet and we'll go ahead and add and create that product for you. Now, if you do notice when you're starting to design with products on here, you'll see some of these manufacturers have a logo next to their name. That would denote that they're a partner, an exhibiting partner in OpenSolar, which of course Panasonic is one. Any of the modules here that have this logo are going to have what's called exhibiting content in the proposal. Those are some extra bells and whistles that the Panasonic marketing team has provided. Things like videos, tech briefs, warranty information, and spec sheets and guidelines to help you educate your customer and hopefully help you sell your products better. So we're going to go ahead and select the Panasonic EV-PV 380s right here to go ahead and start designing. That's going to go ahead and put the module right in my list here. I've got it ready to go. And I'm going to hit this plus panels button right here to start putting them down on the roof. Now with this, I can change them between portrait and landscape right here. I'm going to leave them in portrait. And when I bring my panel out, you're going to notice if I move it around the roof, it snaps right to the roof face there as I move it around. And that's because it's picking up that azimuth and slope in real time. So to put the panels down the roof, I don't need to draw anything out. All I need to do is just click and drag. So if I left click and drag across the roof, I can go ahead and start laying down my array. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit closer for everybody so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Now I can click and drag to paint them across, or I can simply left click on these boxes here to add them, or click on the panels to remove. Now, if you look in the left-hand toolbar here, as I'm adding the panels and creating my array, it's automatically figuring out and repositioning the panels to find that optimal azimuth and slope, as well as calculating a number of things like my offset, my production, and my shading values. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish off this array right here. We'll just draw on the rest of the panels. And then once I've got my array down, if I want to go ahead and move it, you're going to see this white bubble pop up here. It's a little directional bubble, and I can grab that by left clicking and I can move these around the roof to replace them. Now you can see here this blue line is moving across my toolbar, and now I'm going to get here my azimuth, my slope, and in a second it should recalculate here my production and my offset. So we'll let the system catch up there, and you should see that refresh here in just a moment. Now we've got a couple other fields in this toolbar here. So I've got the racks field, and you can see now my calculations are applied, and there's my change right there. So the azimuth is 122.8, the slope is 18.3. My racks field here, that's my tilt. So right now it's just going with the slope of the roof, but if you want to tilt the panels further, especially for like a ground mount, flat roof, or carport, you can go ahead and use that field to tilt them. You can rearrange the panels between portrait and landscape right here. And if you want to put gaps in between them, you can do that with these gap fields. So again, more important for like a ground mount flat roof situation. You also have the clearance field here. So if you want to raise the panels off the roof or off the ground, you can use that clearance field right there to do that. You can see now my panels are about 5 feet off the roof. Yep, and every single change I make, it's recalculating it every time. So you're getting a different and accurate calculation for each of those changes you make. And once this finishes recalculating, we're going to take a look at the shading in OpenSolar. So at the very bottom here of my toolbar for the panels, I've got this shading drop down. And if I click that shading drop down here, it's going to give me a different view here as well as this table. And this is going to show my shading impact on the system. So right here, I get the months of the year, the times of the day, and all my solar access values, the monthly averages right here. If I zoom out on the system view, I'm going to notice these green ray tracers, and that's showing me where the sun is directly impacting or hitting the panels at different times of the year and different months. So if I go ahead and look at like July in the morning, this red 0 right here, I can click that, and that's going to go ahead and move my ray tracers here so I can see exactly which tree is impacting the system July in the morning. I could also move this around to November in the afternoon and see the impact there November in the afternoon as well. Now, what's really cool about this is if I zoom in on the panels, I can see down to the panel level how they're being affected. So if I move this one more time, you're going to see the shadows move. You're also going to see the percentages here on the panels and how they're producing here for you. And if you move them to like a really red area, it's going to move those over and it'll show you exactly what panels are being blocked when you're heavily impacted by shade. So it's a really great way to walk your customers through shading, or just know that you're having really accurate production calculating in here based on the shading elements and what's impacting the home. Now, what's really great about the shading tool is you can actually affect it live. So you can cut out and remove trees in tree trim, and you can also add trees. So if your customers made changes here to the property, or they're willing to cut down a tree, you can come over here to the advanced tab, grab the tree trimming tool, and you can come in here and remove trees by putting this little puck down here at the bottom and stretching this out at the bottom of the tree. And what this will do is it will chop down or mush down the tree and go ahead and remove it from your shading values. So my array here was at 87% solar access before. Once this goes ahead in just a moment and takes out my tree, you'll see the production of that system move up here. It takes just a moment to do this. This is a web-based browser, and being on a webinar, it kind of sucks up data in both directions. But you can see here now it's mushed down the tree, and you basically removed that tree from the shading. So if I come back to my panels here, I've gone from 87% up to 90%. So again, you can tree trim and add trees and live affect the shading based on the customer situation. Now, also in OpenSolar, what you can do is you can draw out the roof and do setbacks. So this is a common question that I want to make sure we address here for y'all. But if I go ahead and I delete these panels here, you can just paint them down simply, but you can also come here to the advanced tab and you can draw out the roof. We have a quick roof feature that helps you auto draw the roof and helps you figure out your setbacks, or you can also manually draw it by clicking on the roof tool. You'll get a yellow bubble here, and you can go ahead and draw out the roof just like this. I'll move it a little quickly so it won't be perfect. You can go ahead and draw out the roof, and you can get the azimuth, the slope of that roof face, and the square footage of the roof face all right here. Now, what's really cool is if I zoom in on this, and it's not perfect, but it's close, you'll see these red barriers along the edge, and those are your setback rules. You set up your setback rules in the control zone, and then you can right click on any of these edges, define this as either your ridge, hip, valley, whatever it is, and based on the setback rules you put in the control zone, it's going to pop out that barrier and include your setbacks. So you can see that red barrier got bigger. That's my 3-foot setback from the ridge. I can also come in here, add obstructions. If I want to block up these vents here really quickly, I can go ahead and do that. And then once I've done that, I can click on the roof face again, and I can either manually paint my panels in here if I want to, or I can click on the roof face and click the auto layout button, and it will go ahead and lay out my panels in a max fill format within the setback rules and around the obstructions. So a lot of different ways you can design and build projects here in OpenSolar. We've removed this barrier so you don't have to draw out the roof to put down the panels. You can just paint them on. But if you do want to model setbacks and obstructions, you do have the ability to do that in our tool as well. All right, so we're just going to lay down another basic array here with these Panasonic modules, and then I'll walk you through how we add a battery and an inverter, configure the pricing, do a second system design, and then we'll show you the proposal here in OpenSolar. So I've got my new array here right now, and I'm going to move on to the inverter section here. So here's where I can add my inverters. Now, if you're moving quickly, you can just leave the inverter efficiency and you can add it and move on. Now, we do have a quick stringing feature here where you can select the Panasonic module or the Panasonic inverter and battery combo, and you can hit the quick string button to automatically string and size that inverter. You can also add them manually right here. So if you want to add your inverter manually, you can click on the plus inverter button, come down here and select the Panasonic EVHBL6. Go ahead and add that right in, and you can click the plus string button to start stringing the system. Now, if I click on the string, I can left click and drag across the panels here, and I can go ahead and string my array, and I can choose to add another MPPT here, and I can go ahead and string it again. Now the system will give you a number of warnings if you're not stringing it correctly, so I can go and see what these warnings are, and I can go ahead and address my stringing. So it looks like my voltages are a little off here, so I can take a look at this and see, okay, I might need to string a couple less panels on this, or change this so I have less voltage. So I'll come in here and restring it, but this just basically tells you what you're doing, so you can go ahead and make sure you're stringing this correctly and doing this right for your customers. And again, you can either do this manually, or you can just hit the quick string feature, move right through this, and move to the next section here. So now that I've strung my system, all these have turned blue, my warnings have gone away, I've strung this up, and now I can move to the battery section. Now the battery section is where you can add your batteries, and we'll add that Panasonic EV-HB inverter battery combo again. So I've got that right here. I'll go ahead and select it. And then you can choose whether you want this to be AC or DC connected. So based on what Vicky was going over earlier, depending on how you're setting your system up, you can define this as either AC or DC sided. We also have the battery control schemes here. Now, the battery control schemes are a way that you can set up in the control zone to tell the battery when to optimize the charging and discharging. This is going to correlate with the weather data, the solar production, and also the energy usage or consumption that you put in the energy page and how you defined it. And it's going to look at that usage, look at the weather data and the production, and optimize when to charge and discharge that battery. We've got the solar charge default scheme. We've also got a time of use option you can choose here. And as I mentioned, you can create your own battery control schemes and customize them to your liking. We'll choose the solar charge option here and go ahead and select that. And then once we've got all of that loaded, we're ready to move on here with the next step. So besides panels, inverters, and batteries, you're going to have the other section as well. Now, the other section is where you can add any other components besides the main three. This could be racking, it could be electrical gear, balance of systems type stuff. It could be a maintenance or monitoring plan, or even thermostats, LED bulbs, smart home type applications. You can build any custom component or select it from our database, but basically show anything here that you want to include in the proposal and add a cost or a price to, or be able to display to your customer. Now we do have the integration with IronRidge here. And if you want to utilize that to automatically import your racking, you can click the button right here to do that connection directly with the IronRidge tool and automatically import your racking right into OpenSolar. If you want to learn more about that, reach out. We're happy to give you a demo on how that integration works. Once I've got my options here, I'll come down to the pricing tab. And now the pricing you'll set up in the control zone. So in the control zone, you'll set up your pricing options. You can do things like a price per watt that's fixed, a price per watt by size that changes based on the system size there, or you can enter the price manually. You can also enter all of your costs in OpenSolar, and it will build in your costs as you design the system. And if you want to do a markup option off of your costs, you can do that as well. Now, again, we're happy to give you a demo and help you train you on that and help you set up your costs there. We can select a costing scheme here as well. If you're a sales rep and you want to higher or lower your commission to affect the price and hopefully get that sale, you can mess with commission amounts as well. You can also remove that ability if you don't want your sales reps doing that. You can include non-solar amounts. You can also do adders and discounts right here. You can build an adders library. You can select adders or discounts, like a main service panel swap, and add that right into your project here. Now, if you scroll down on this, you're going to see a nice breakout here of all of your costs, your pricing, and your margins. So with this demo account, I don't quite have them all loaded, but basically you can see here, if you've built out all your costs, it'll calculate them all automatically for you as you're building out your system. And you'll see all of your costs right here. And if you scroll down, you'll see your pricing as well based on your payment option, and then your margin. So this is great. It's internal only, so no customer is going to see this, and you can even hide it from non-admins in your account. But you get a really nice customized picture of the cost breakdown, the pricing per payment option, and your margin all right in here. Now you can also come to the incentive area. This will automatically load your incentives. Those are in the control zone as well, and they automatically apply based on the state, region, or zip. Now you can select this override button here if you want to override the defaults, and you can manually select your incentive options. You can also come down here to payment options. Those are going to be automatically applied and set up in the control zone. So you can create any loan, lease, PPA, or finance option, or use our 4 integrated partners. Those automatically apply, or you can override them and manually choose them as well. Now that we've got our first system option done here, I'm going to go ahead and add another option. So to do that, we want to come down here to this add new system button here, and you have the option of either duplicating or doing a brand new system here in OpenSolar. I like to duplicate this because basically you just make a carbon copy of your last system option there. You can go ahead and make a quick change to the panels. So I can go ahead and choose another Panasonic option here, like the EV-PV 370 PK modules. We'll add those in. And then if I want to go ahead and add maybe a second smaller array to get some more production right here, I can do this on this roof right here as well. So now I've got two system options here. I can go ahead and reorder, rearrange them. I can also relabel them. And it's going to go ahead and recalculate all my production here in just a moment. Now, the last step in here is just zooming out, making sure you've got a nice angle on the home and a nice snapshot here in the white checkered box. That's what's going to show up in your proposals. Just make sure that looks nice. And you can come down here to add new view, and you can add new views. You can do multiple views, 3D views, 2D views, but you can add more angles and more images for your customer. So I can add another 3D view right here, zoom out a little bit and give them another angle to look at. Now you can choose down here at the bottom which views you want to display. You can reorder them or delete them all right here at the bottom, and you can show as many views as you'd like in that proposal. So now that's all completed, I'm going to hit save right here, and we'll go into the online proposal in OpenSolar. This is the preview that your homeowner is going to see of the proposal. It's fully customizable. So as the installer, you can customize this entire welcome message as well as the about us for the business. You can put your logos, your color scheme, links to your website or reviews, or whatever you want to include in here. You, the customer, will hit continue to proposal, and this will be the open proposal that you can see. Now it's going to take a second to load the first time you save it, which is what it's still doing here right now, but you'll have your logo, you have the different system options right here, the different images you've set up in that proposal, which you can toggle and click through once it's done loading here for me. And you'll have the 4 financial options right across the top, and you can customize those. We've got a library of about 3 dozen of them that you can choose from. You'll have your different financial options right here. You can sign and close contracts and deals right through OpenSolar. And for our integrated finance options, you can do the credit check, pre-approval, loan docs, all right here through the platform. We're integrated with DocuSign, or you can use our native signer to close your deals. Underneath all the system information, you'll see the hardware information. And here you can see our Panasonic modules that change based on the system option here. And you can also see the EverVolt home energy storage system. You can hit play to check out their marketing videos for each of the products, details to see their warranty and tech information here, and you can click on specs to see the spec sheet information as well. Now, underneath all of this, besides seeing the Panasonic and all of their great information and marketing collateral, you're going to have all the infographics and widgets that will help you sell the deal with your customer. These are fully customizable. You can leave them in or take them out. The first one here shows your system performance and the production over the consumption in the background. And these daily energy profiles here show you where the system is producing energy, where the homeowner is consuming it or exporting it to the grid, and where that battery is charging and discharging based on the battery control scheme you set and the customer's usage habits. You'll see down here how much they use directly from solar, what goes back to the grid for credits, and you've got a lot of nice infographics here on how to explain this or walk this through with your customer. You also have custom content you can include, like YouTube videos and graphics or anything you want to include in here. And you have the environmental benefits if you want to show that as well. At the bottom, you'll have your electricity bill savings. So you'll have your old bill and your new bill with solar, and the monthly payments if you're showing a loan, lease, PPA option. You'll have a detailed savings table here, which shows your year 1 and all of the months and what's happening with your production, consumption, before and after bill, and your savings and true-up credits. At the very bottom, you'll have your net financial impact with your initial investment, your payback year and month, and your ROI for cash. And you can change this between cash and a finance option to see all the differences here and all the financial information. You'll have a detailed table which walks you through a summary of every single year and how the system is modeling for you for the 20, 25, or 30 years, whatever you want to choose. And then below this, you'll have the table with all the quotation information. So you'll see here for a loan, all the loan parameters, the interest rate, the term, the tax credit, and the effect that has of prepaying that into the loan. And you'll also see for cash, the full cash amount, the incentives, and your payment milestones here as well. You'll have all of this custom information you can include. So some examples like customer testimonials or pictures of recent installs. And then at the bottom, you can include more case studies and about us for the business or any custom information you want to include down there. And you can also download all of this as a full PDF with the entire proposal, all the information you see here, the contracts, and all the spec sheets for the Panasonic products, all included in a nice PDF packet. And you can preview that in the PDF area before sending that out to your customer. Once you're ready to send this, you just come down to the very bottom here, hit send proposal to customer, and then you can come in here, customize your email to them, hit confirm and send proposal, and then you can send that right off to your customer and they can start checking out your proposal in OpenSolar. If you want to see the interactions your customer is taking with it, those will be in your dashboard down here, where you can see on a project level or in the dashboard all of the different interactions that your clients are taking with the emails you send out or the proposals you send out as well. So some really great buying signals for you to know how interested your customer is. And that's the overview of OpenSolar. Again, we recommend checking out any of our webinars or checking out or reaching out to us through our support center. We're happy to answer questions, do one-on-one demos with you, and help onboard you to the platform. If you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us at support@opensolar.com.